Can we truly change a golf swing using only a computer, microphone, software, and knowledge? This is our 3-month journey where I take 4 volunteers and help them achieve greatness without ever meeting them. Each week we cycle through 2 out of the 4 of the same volunteers and suggest the next week's work and address any issues I see popping up. This could either be a train wreck or set us up for season 2. Please keep in mind this is an experiment and these volunteers understand that this could either dramatically help or hurt their swings. They have answered a 10-question survey to allow me to see their body makeup, address any injuries, and understand their practice habits. If you enjoy this or get some value from it, please hit that like button, leave a comment, share this with other frustrated golfers, or even subscribe as it is free, and we use proceeds from the channel and our development academies in Southern California and send it to the Heal the Hood Foundation in South Africa to help introduce golf to low-income children. But enough for the tchotchke talk. Get ready as this is episode 3 of our 12-week golf journey. Welcome back, Lion Golf Academy members and guests. And on the screen first we have Haynes, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It has 2 N's, so it's either Haynes or Hannes. So if you are watching, please let me know in the comments. Just tell me how to say your name correctly so I don't keep embarrassing myself. But week 1 to week 2, week 1's on the left side, week 2's on the right side. We talked about your setup a little bit and then also that initial takeaway. We wanted you to move your ball placements, stand a little bit further back so you have some room, and we can see already between the 2, look at that back line between the center of your heels going straight up. You can see much more of your frontal body over that golf ball. So I think this setup change is phenomenal. You've got a lot more room to clear between your hands and your thighs. Now keep in mind these are slightly different camera angles, so it might be playing a little trick on us, but there's certainly a difference. Now the biggest thing we worked on last time was your takeaway. So if we take a look at your old takeaway, we see the hands coming up, club goes below, and again this could be a camera angle, but it is still slightly disconnected. Club head was still in line with your spine angle, so it was pretty good, but we saw some manipulation. And on the way back on the right side, we wanted you to get that club head to go over your hands, and so we can draw a little circle, and let's see how we did. As we take that club back, we can see there is connection there, so we can see that club head is right over those hands, maybe a little bit closer than that. However, the path of your arms is still a little bit outside, so we see that big spacing. The reason why we had you stand further back away from the ball is so we can still turn and tilt, remain in our posture without this pulling of the arms going up. So this is a side effect of that feeling, and this is a challenging thing when I am not there physically put in the position and giving you some ideas based on your feel. So this is where this breakdown could occur that I'm seeing in terms of me describing the feeling and you searching for the feeling. But I give this a 7 or 8 out of 10 in terms of where that club head is in relation to your hands. It's really good if we can get your hands to go more down, and it's not necessarily pulling them down. All we're doing is keeping our setup and tilting and turning, and the path of the hands needs to go more along the inside of your foot line. On the right side of the screen, just follow that arrow. So if we can focus on this for next week, get your arms at this point to still be facing down but closer to this lower plane line, and that club head goes right over your hands. That might be a little bit gorilla arm, so you probably have to look for here where that X is. So look at the camera, think about a little bit lower than your hips, and that's where your hands should be on that plane line. Now let's take a look at the front view, because we're going to see that ball position and what's going on with that. All right, face on now. We're going to look at some of these changes that we see visually. We can see those hands are now more connected with that golf ball. Look at the right side of the screen. That's the new one. We're going to draw your tilting, and we're going to extend that center of the tilt through your hands. So the hands are slightly leading the golf ball, but in terms of where they were last week, we can see a big difference. We see those hands are a little bit too far ahead there. They're getting closer on the right side, so good job with that. Ball position slightly more towards your lead foot, which really helps you releasing, but we can start to see something occur in your impact position based on your old feel. So let's just go from the top of your swing to see what's going on, and we can see a little bit of this tilting and rocking back towards the target. Now that golf ball position is slightly more forward of what it was last week, and we can see as a result, let me draw this in a different color here. We can see as a result, we see that upper body tilting back towards the target, and here that upper body tilt is increasing. So with that ball position change slightly forward, your old feeling is still trying to get to that position. So you are making up for that ball position by sliding more over or tilting more over over, I should say. And this is going to create a little bit of an issue going down. So I think from last week, you did a much better job in your setup. Really good job. This week, focus on those hands pulling more inside. So almost that left shoulder has to control it. You've created more room. Now get that left shoulder pulled down, pulling your hand path a little bit closer to your body. That's going to help you get away from these pulls, because I noticed in your last down the line swing, you are pulling everything. Even though it might feel a little bit better, there's still a pull going on there. We're going to look at your shoulder turn. So your turn is actually really good in relation to your club shaft. That shaft does not go anywhere near the parallel in relation to the turn. So that's looking good. But what we need to think about is this upper body tilting too much to the target. So if we start from the beginning of your swing here, is what is going to typically happen is when you focus on your hand path going more closer to your body, it's going to correct this upper body tilting, because right now that tilting is occurring because your path of your hands is going too far away from your body, which pulls your tilting towards the target. And focus on getting a more upright tilt. Now you can do it two ways. You can limit that shoulder turn so it's closer to 90 degrees, or the second way you can do it is look at your left knee, how it kind of buckles in. Think about there's a spacing between your left knee and your right knee, and it should stay relatively the same as you take that club back. You see it buckles in over there. Now when this buckles in, that left knee is going to be lower than the right knee, and in essence you can see that 90 degrees from each one is matching your spine angle there. I prefer working from the ground up, so I would prefer to see the width between your knees established so you don't get that upper body tilt towards the target. So for your job for your next submission, which your video will be in 2 weeks, is that takeaway, get the arm plane line lower to your foot line, more connected to your body, instead of veering out in front of you, but still search for that circle. Setup's looking much better. Keep the setup. You did a great job. And then the secondary thing this week for you is maybe put a bucket in between your two knees and focus on that bucket turning instead of pushing into each other. So your knees should not squeeze that bucket together. They should just basically turn. We see some squeezing going on, which will affect your tilting. We don't need to squish the knees. We need to rotate the knees. So I hope that helps you, and great job. And please let me know your correct pronunciation of your name in the comments below, and let's see who is next. All right, on the screen now we have Jin. Jin's old one is on the left, the new one is on the right, and we had him working more down the line view. We'll see the differences there, but I wanted to start with the face on just to make sure the setup hasn't adjusted any, and also that hip motion with him. He had a little bit of overactive hips and started leaning into the target. So you see the old one, we see those hips turning around really well, and then he starts that slide, and then he starts casting to catch up with his slide. So ball position in relation to the tilt, it goes right through the hands, and that tilt is still a little bit off. So maybe move that ball position slightly up, maybe a couple golf balls up ahead of you. Now this is going to be tricky. If we move that ball position up towards their left foot, you will start to probably slide even more to catch that golf ball up from your old habit. But let's look at those hips. So do we still turn going against that brace line? Do we see any changes in the top of your swing from the old one to the new one? And so right at the top here, we can see a visual difference. We see that club on the right side getting further, and it's reaching parallel to the ground, and your shoulder turn in relation to that, it's still a pretty wide turn. So your club shaft is not perpendicular to your rotation, which is good. So in terms of your tee, so we're going to look at the down the line, but maybe that connection we worked on, the connection drill, helped you get a little bit more turn, but it could also just be this day. On the left side of the screen, we can still see that push. Right side of the screen, we still see that push. Is the club in a different position, however? Let's take a look, a couple more frames. 1, 2. Yeah, we're still casting, we're still throwing, and that's that whole left side leaning into the target prematurely, and then you have to catch up, because when you do that, that golf ball position shifts even more. It's on your right shoulder now, and you better throw your hands or you're going to miss that golf ball. But from this side, let's just work on that ball placement, move it 1 or 2 golf balls towards your lead foot. But let's go to the down the line, because that's where we see most of the changes from last week. Hopefully we got some changes. We can work on some new things as well. All right, Jin down the line. And for those that did not tune in for Jin's last episode, we focused on trying to reconnect his club face with his hands. We see that instant disconnection. The club face goes well below the lower plane line, and our goal was to try and get these two matched up. And then at the top of his swing, that momentum pulls him down. You can see how low he gets. In order to get some sort of motion going on, there goes that lean, and he's trapped, and there goes that throw. So we're trying to see if we can change some of this motion. And let's take a look right side of the screen, the moment of truth. Do we get that thing to stay connected? Look, it's riding up that lower plane line, riding up that lower plane line. It is really, really close. So that is a lot of good work there this week, Jen. Look at the difference. So we can see that club head is on that lower plane line, matching your spine angle. The old one is opening it up. So this is really good. If we can maybe even get your hand slightly lower than that, now I'm being nitpicky, but this is really solid motion. Let's go to the top and see how low your arms used to be. And without addressing it last week, let's see what happened. Let's see if your body picked up on some changes. So we can see a little bit of the old position still there. So in terms of that first part, you are connected a lot better. Now, let's take that connection from that midway point and get your hands to go higher. And what this is going to help you do, so at the top of your swing, you're looking for your left hand to be much higher. So it's going to be up over here. What that does is the two things. It moves the club closer this way, which will be in line with the center of your body more. Goes right in between that X there. And then secondly, as you turn down through, you don't have to lean anymore to create the room. If your hands are up here, they can start to drop while you just turn and remain tilted. So you still have the old habits, and you can see we're still fighting that. And let's see if the impact position looks a little bit different. And we can see there's a little bit more room here versus tucked in over there. So we're starting to see some room develop, which is good. We're still seeing a little bit shaft humping. You see hips go into the club shafts. That is going to change once we get to the top plane line. Kudos to you. This is a really good change. Your goal for next week, move that golf ball position a couple of balls over to your left side. The takeaway, you've already established that initial takeaway. Very good. Once that club gets to parallel to the ground, feel the arms and hands lifting straight up. It's going to feel very weird, but you need to create that spacing for your right hand and right arm and right shoulder to just go down with that room that you created. Very good. I hope this helps you guys. If you do like this, hit the like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below how you feel these two are doing this week. And tune in next week. We got the other two coming up. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. See how this follows. If we do a season 2, we'll need more volunteers. Hope that helps you. Fairways and greens.